Hey, shalom, shalom, all praises, honor, glory goes to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Quadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, elders, the great millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to you, fellow brothers, pushing out this word in truth and sincerity. Shbachnak, coming back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh. Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha, Quadash, shalom, shalom to the Lord's elect, okay? And in this video, we're going to talk about insulin resistance and herbal strategies to help you with that issue. This was actually a comment that a brother posted on one of my videos. So the Spirit allowed me to get to it. And right when I seen the video, I said, all right, I already know 4 remedies. Okay, I already know 4 remedies that you can start working with. So we'll go through those remedies. Okay, again, before we do that, this is not medical advice. This is herbal education. We're going to go through the traditional and historical uses, okay, of these different herbal medicines and how people use them to help themselves in a times, all right, where they have different issues with the body. Let me put this phone on Do Not Disturb. Bear with me. Okay, it should still be going. Okay, insulin resistance. Okay, we're dealing with the pancreas. So the pancreas is out of balance, okay? And essentially, we know now, or the name now is insulin resistance. But prior to modern medicine, okay, and understanding of modern biology, okay, and science, all right, how was this issue how was it identified? What were the signs, okay, that you would have insulin resistance? Now, they didn't call it insulin resistance, okay? The signs that were seen were excess thirst, okay, frequent urination, okay, excess appetite, fatigue, obesity. Sugar in the urine was one of the main ones. Okay, the urine smelling very sugary. Okay, and this is basically your body cannot handle sugars. All right, our body has a mechanism where the body handles the amount of sugars that can be inside our bloodstream. The sugar is not bad, it's just your body has lost the ability to deal with it. Okay, so I have 4 remedies here. We'll go through like at least 4 remedies, but I'm gonna add a couple of more that you can start working with either independently, or I would say it would be better to do a formula or to add several of these remedies. Now, if you are on actual insulin, of course, you don't want to stop your medicine. You don't want to stop your insulin. Now, let's talk about insulin just for a small second. And I'm speaking about artificial insulin that people that inject. Why do they inject the artificial insulin or have to? Well, their body, that mechanism where insulin is actually produced and excreted when there's excess sugar that needs to be pulled out of the body, that has shut down. Okay, that has shut down. Okay, it's stagnant. So then you take insulin to replace the insulin that your body would actually use. Now, when you do that, what happens when you do that? You further shut down that organ. That organ it's not going to work anymore. Okay, because it doesn't have to. Okay, and then of course the diet and all that is all messed up. We'll gently touch into that, but not too much. We're going to mainly just stick with the remedies that you can start working with. But generally, you want to go ahead and cleanse the whole system. You want herbs that are going to cleanse the whole system. So the lymphatic system, the blood, the bowels, the kidney, the liver, right? And in this case, it's not so much of a cleansing protocol, but more of a building and turning back on, stimulating. These remedies will stimulate the pancreas over time to start to produce, all right, insulin in the correct amounts, okay, over time, okay? But just that note there for those that are taking insulin. You can, and I have worked with people that were on insulin, and there's a dance between the amount of insulin they take and then the remedies that you give, because you don't want it to go too low if they're dealing with high blood sugar. In most cases, people are dealing with high blood sugar or even low blood sugar. Okay, but you can wean off, but I would look for a practitioner, or if you're your own practitioner. But you have to keep watch, okay? It's very important. You just don't want to just start throwing remedies out there while you're on these strong pharmaceutical drugs, okay? So I'm not saying to get off your pharmaceuticals. That's not what this video is. We're just going to go herbal education, okay? Okay, the first, I got four herbs. Okay, fenugreek. Okay, fenugreek, okay? Fenugreek will help turn on the pancreas. It'll start to deal with all that excess sugar. Okay, it's not actual insulin. That these herbs are not actual insulin. They stimulate the organs that create insulin. So you can see how they'll actually go to the root cause instead of actually giving you actual insulin. Okay, it stimulates the organs to produce insulin. Now, these remedies also do other things. Fenugreek also is going to help move gas. It's going to be soothing to your mucous membranes. Okay, it will for women, it will enrich their milk. Okay, it also will help gain weight for those that can't gain weight. It has a hormone balancing effect to it. Men and women can take this herb. All right, fenugreek. You can take fenugreek, so you can make that into a tea. Okay, you can make that into a tea, or you can make that into a tincture. If you do a tincture, you're going to do at least a 1-to-4 or a 1-to-5 ratio at least 50% alcohol. Okay, these are dry seeds. Okay, fenugreek. So you can take that. A traditional dose, historical dose, would be anywhere from 1 to 3 milliliters 3 times daily. And generally, when you're working with insulin resistance, you want to take it right before you eat or after you eat. But you don't have to. You don't have to, but at least 3 times daily, you want to take these herbs, okay? So fenugreek is the first herb, okay? Cinnamon, all right, is another herb. Whatever cinnamon that you can find, okay? We're not going to get too particular about the type of cinnamon, okay? But whatever cinnamon you can find is going to work on helping that whole blood sugar complex, okay, system balance itself out. So you could take this in a tincture, or you can make a tea. So with these two herbs, you can make a fenugreek cinnamon tea, and you could drink that tea 3 times daily. Okay, and I'll give, traditional dosing at the end. Just pause the video, or it'll be in the description box, okay? All right, so cinnamon. I've seen cinnamon drop blood sugar down. Like, boom. Okay, too low. Okay, and that was in a tincture. But you can also, again, with cinnamon, you could do that in a tea. Okay, so you'll take the tea 3 times daily, all right? Or you'll make the tincture a 1-to-5, 1-to-4 ratio, okay, with the cinnamon chips or cinnamon sticks. Break them up, 50% alcohol, shake it daily, just like in all the tincture videos we make. Okay, do a 1-to-5, shake it up, all right? You can also, what you can do is you can do a cinnamon fenugreek. So you can add cinnamon and fenugreek in equal parts. So say you have 1 ounce of fenugreek, 1 ounce of cinnamon. You put it in a mason jar. You pour the alcohol over. You will pour 10 fluid ounces of alcohol over. You'll shake that daily. Okay, and boom, you have your tincture. And then you can take that 2 to 3 milliliters. Start at least 1, but 1 to 3 milliliters. Before you eat, okay, or after you eat. Space that 3 times a day, okay? So cinnamon, another great remedy to work on insulin resistance, okay? It will counteract all that sugar that's in your body, help turn on the pancreas to start doing its job, okay? All right. Gamina. Okay, this is the Ayurvedic remedy. So this is an Eastern remedy, fenugreek. All right, as well as Gamina, but also cinnamon too. You can find that on the East, but you can find that over this way as well. But Gamina, I mean, if out of all the remedies, I'm gonna tell you, Gamina might be probably, I don't know, maybe the strongest one. Jamina or Gamina is it pronounced. When you break down that word in their language, it means sugar destroyer. When you taste Jamina, it'll literally stop you from actually tasting sugar. Okay, and that again, remember these herbs are going to the root cause. Okay, there's a metabolic issue. You're not able to break down and turn on particular parts in the body correctly. Generally, if somebody has insulin resistance, they also have other symptoms that are associated with it. You're rarely going to see they just have that. There are probably going to be some digestive problems, some gas, some bloating, some indigestion. There could be some constipation. There can be some liver stagnation. You know, there could be a multiple. There could be acidosis. Generally, there's going to be some type of acidosis. There's going to be excess inflammation. Okay, but we're just sticking to these remedies. Okay, but Jamina, powerful herb for bringing back the body's ability to deal with excess sugar, or your body allow your body to produce its own insulin naturally. It's like these herbs they're like little bolts and jolts to your system. Say, hey, turn on. It's time to work. Start producing. Start excreting. Just like if you take a digestive bitter, your body tastes the bitter principles, and then those are like keys to a door, all right, or keys to the ignition to start particular systems in your body. It'll start to produce hydrochloric acid and all that, okay? So, Jamina, powerful herb. Now, all three of these remedies, fenugreek, cinnamon, and Jamina, they all also have another thing in common. They're also all digestive herbs, okay? Because the pancreas is a digestive organ, okay? Just like the kidney, just like the liver. All right, so generally there's always going to be a digestive problem or a metabolic problem, meaning the body is not able to break down the food, assimilate, and remove the waste properly. That's digestion. So there's always a digestive problem associated with insulin resistance. There could be a lot of inflammation in the stomach. The mucous membrane can be all jacked up. And that's why I like fenugreek in a tea, because it has that soothing property to soothe and heal the mucous membrane, okay, of the digestive tract. But all these herbs are going to stimulate, all right, the pancreas to start producing insulin over time. Okay, you can't take these things for a day, 2 days, 3 days and expect these should be long-term remedies for a particular time as you get balanced, and then you can start titrating down where you don't have to take as much. Okay, so Jamina, I would get Jamina. Okay, but if you can't get Jamina, you can get these two other remedies. You can start working on those two other remedies. Another remedy, this is another Ayurvedic remedy, but Ayurvedic remedy, but it's throughout the Caribbean as well. And this is bitter melon. I believe also bitter melon is in Central America as well. So Central, South America, Caribbean, West Asia, okay, or I'm not South. Is it North Asia? I forget. Excuse me, I forget. But bitter melon, okay, bitter melon you can get at the grocery store. Okay, not all grocery stores, but I remember I was in Dallas, and there's a large Indian population there, and they even had them at Kroger. Okay, but it just depends, right? But if you go to an international market, an Asian market, all right, because it's bitter melon is used in Asian cuisine, okay, you'll find bitter melon. Okay, I believe there's bitter melon also too in Amazon. They use bitter melon as well. But Bitter melon fresh, you can tincture this herb. You can tincture it fresh as well, a 1-to-2 ratio, or you can tincture it dry, all right? Or you can make the tincture at a 1-to-5 ratio in dry. So if you have the fresh herb that you get at the grocery store at an international market, you will tincture that at 1-to-2. That's fresh. You'll slice it up, boom, 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 boom. All right, and then you'll tincture that, all right, for 4 weeks, 2 to 6 weeks actually. And then if you have the dry herb, you will tincture that at a 1-to-5. If you tincture it fresh, you need to go at least 70% alcohol. Okay, you want to tincture at a little bit higher percent alcohol because bitter melon has a lot of water in it. Okay, dry, you can tincture from anywhere from 40 to 60% dry. Okay, now with bitter melon, you can actually juice the bitter melon, and I believe the dose is around 20 to 30 or maybe 50 milliliters, okay, 3 times a day of the juice. Or you can put that in, you can put that in a green drink. So if you have like your base with celery and cucumber, and then you can juice some bitter melon juice as well, and then you can drink that, and it's bitter. Again, all 4 of these remedies, what do they have in common? They're all digestive herbs. Okay, some are going to be a little bit more bitter than others. Okay, cinnamon is not necessarily a bitter, but it's a digestive stimulant. Okay, so again, we're looking at the pancreas, but really you got to start in the stomach. There's digestive stagnation somewhere. There's something going on in the stomach, and what happened is it attacked the pancreas. But if I'm thinking, okay, pancreas, I already know liver, I already know kidney, I already know bowels. Okay, but regardless of that, you can work on these remedies and they'll start to address all those issues over time. Okay, so out of these 4 remedies, I would actually get all 4 of these remedies. Okay, I would go to a bulk supplier online and I would buy a pound of each online. Or if you can't go online, you can get all of these herbs, maybe not Jamena, but fenugreek, cinnamon, bitter melon. You can get all these herbs at the grocery store, at an international market. Okay, they'll sell them. You can get cinnamon. Cinnamon's easy to get. Okay, fenugreek is also used as a spice, so a little bit harder, but you can find fenugreek. Okay, and you can find bitter melon. Okay, so at least 3 of those remedies you can work with. Okay, you can put them all in a tincture together and tincture them all at 1-to-5. You can work with them separately. With the bitter melon, you can juice it. You go to the grocery store and you can juice those and drink that daily as well. And all these remedies, like I said earlier, you can take these remedies. Generally, you want to take them right before or after to help with the regulation of blood sugar. Okay, when you eat, because it's all associated when you eat. Your blood sugar, what proves this? Your blood sugar actually normalizes when you fast. Okay? Again, your blood sugar normalizes when you fast because the body does not have to deal, all right, with all that sugar. Okay? Some people, they can handle that totally fine. Others, they can't handle protein. So they'll have protein in the urine, or they'll have indigestion. They're not able to break down proteins. Okay? Or they're not able to break down particular carbs. Cellulose, they're not able to break down the cell wall, particular vegetables, fiber. Okay, then gas, they start bloating. So it just all depends. Certain people, they can't break down fats. Okay, so they have liver and gallbladder issues. Okay, another thing with bitter melon, it does stimulate the liver. So it's also a liver remedy. So these 4 remedies will pretty much address, to some degree, if not all, okay, why the body is resistant, all right, to sugar. Okay, but you got to change your diet as well. Okay, so you need to go on what they call a low glycemic diet, until you can get your pancreas to turn on, okay, and start handling it by itself. Okay, you can go on cleanses, but that's another talk. regardless, you should start jumping on these herbs. Okay, some other herbs I also would consider as well. Okay, all your berberine type herbs. Okay, you have barberry, one of my favorite. You have barberry. Okay, you have Oregon grape root. Okay, you have golden seal. All right, and you have coptis root. There's a couple of other, but those are going to be your main 4 berberine containing plants. Okay, and one of the signs of a berberine containing plant is that they're yellow. They have that yellow, it's that pigment. Okay, and these things are going to stimulate digestion. They're going to stimulate the liver. They're going to gently move the kidney. Okay, but also they're going to work on the pancreas. Basically, insulin resistance is part of your digestion is compromised. That's really what it is. It's a digestive problem that manifests in the pancreas. Okay, because the pancreas handles part of digestion, just like the kidney handles part of digestion, just like the liver, gallbladder handles part of digestion. The body is a digestive organ, so it breaks down food. Okay, it absorbs the nutrients, and then it removes all the byproduct that it doesn't need. Okay, and through that process, it metabolizes. That's where you use the word metabolism. It metabolizes. If there's a breakdown in that system, it's going to manifest in what? Symptoms. In this case, insulin resistance, which is nothing other than a digestive problem. Okay, that manifests in your pancreas. Okay, but these herbs also will start to move the liver and the gallbladder, which is highly connected to the pancreas. Okay, through the breaking down and emulsifying of fats, the releasing of pancreatic enzymes. Okay, there could also be inflammation that's tied to the pancreas as well. Okay, I would consider turmeric also are in this formula. So you got a lot of herbs that you can deal with, that you can make formulas with. Okay, you have fenugreek, you can find fenugreek. Cinnamon, easy find. Okay, bitter melon, you can find bitter melon. Okay, and you have Gemina. Gemina is a little bit harder. You can go online, get a bulk supply, or buy a pound of it if you can. Okay, you can buy the powder of any of these herbs, the whole herb. Okay, I would do the whole herb, but you can do the powder too, because you can make powder teas. And I did a video, or maybe I gotta re-upload it, on how to use powder teas. And you can make tincture out of powder teas too, or you can make a tincture out of all those. And then I would also consider your berberine containing antimicrobial plants. Okay, barberry, Oregon grape root, golden seal. Golden seal is a little bit more expensive. Barberry is going to be the cheapest out of all of those. It's easy to find. Okay, you can actually forage for barberry in your area if you can. You have a Japanese species of barberry that's very what do they call it? Invasive, or I might be pronouncing it wrong, where it takes over. It's not native, so it takes over. Me and the Elder Pashai, we sometime last year, I believe in August, somewhere in, not August, but the fall, we went forward for some berberine. We made fresh berberine tincture. But you can buy fresh barberry tincture, excuse me. But you can buy barberry online. That's really an easy herb, maybe under $20 per pound. So your berberine containing plants, okay, which is also going to start dealing with any infection that can be associated with why your pancreas is not doing what it's supposed to do. Barberry, Oregon grape root, another beautiful remedy. Okay, golden seal, and coptis root. Okay, it's also something called yellow root, a little bit harder to find, which they're all part of that family. Okay, then also I would consider turmeric. Turmeric also will help in the metabolism problem that you're having. Because remember, it's a metabolism problem. It's a digestive problem. It's not an isolated pancreas problem. So when you go to Esau, you go, well, hey, you know your body is not producing insulin. So It might be producing a little bit insulin. It might be producing a little bit insulin, but once you start taking insulin shot, it gets turned off. So these herbs are start to turn these things on. So we also have turmeric, and then another herb I also would consider is aloe vera. And when you look at all these remedies, what do? They stimulate digestion, because insulin resistance is a digestive problem. It's a metabolism problem. Your body is not able to break down the foods that you eat, absorb, assimilate the nutrients, and remove the toxins, okay, out of the body through urination, through sweat, through bowel movements, through breathing. It's not able to do that. Okay? So these herbs will start to address all those problems. So look, what would I do? I have a formula called a metabolic balance. It's 40% cinnamon, 40% fenugreek, 20% Jimina. You can do that. Okay, or you could add 5 herbs, or maybe 6. You could do 6. 5 or 6 herbs. You can do Jimina, fenugreek, cinnamon, bitter melon, barberry. You can add that all equal parts, okay? What does equal parts mean, okay? Let's say I have an ounce of each herb. You can buy an ounce of each herb. If you go, you also have your local herb shops. Most of your major cities are going to have a storefront herb shop where they're going to sell you herbs in ounces. They're going to be a little bit more expensive. They're going to be maybe 3 to 4 times more expensive, but you don't have to buy a lot. So you can buy an ounce of Jimina, cinnamon, barberry, fenugreek, bitter melon. They're going to run you, at least for an ounce, they're going to run you anywhere from $3 to $5 per ounce. So say you bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say $25. Let's say you spent $25. Okay, so you bought an ounce of Jimina, fenugreek, barberry, bitter melon, and cinnamon. Okay, 1, 2. That's 5 herbs. Okay, I'll also consider cinnamon if you could throw that in there. So let's say you have those 5 herbs. Okay, 1 ounce each. You spent maybe around $25, $25. Okay, and I'm talking about the whole root. Okay, you get a mason jar. Okay, you put an ounce of each herb. Boom, 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 boom. You have 5 ounces there. You have 5 ounces. You do a 1-to-5 ratio. You times that 5 ounces times 5. That's going to tell you how many fluid ounces of alcohol that you're going to put in there. Okay, so you're going to put 25 fluid ounces of alcohol. Now, you probably have cinnamon. Or go to your local store. You can get cinnamon. You could get fenugreek, and you can find bitter melon at an international market if you only had those 3. Okay, you can get that fresh. I will also throw in turmeric in there. So that's another formula. And you do a 1. If you do fresh herbs, make that separate. Okay, and then combine it afterwards. I'll put all this in the end of the video. And then I also will consider aloe vera. Aloe vera is another herb, and I already spoke about it. Aloe vera is another herb that you can take, that you can find at the grocery store. And I would do, there's two ways you can dose. There's many ways, but mainly 2 ways you can dose this. Okay, aloe vera. All right. And again, all these herbs, what do they all have in common? They, in some way, form, or fashion, work on digestion. Whether that's from bitter stimulation, whether that's from stimulating the pancreas, whether that's from allowing the body to break down, assimilate, and remove food more properly. Okay? Because there's a breakdown in your digestive organs. Aloe vera is beautiful because it's a soothing remedy for your mucosal membrane of the stomach. Okay? So it's going to patch up. Just think if you had a burn on your arm, right? You got a burn, right? And we know traditionally aloe vera was put on the burn, and it will soothe it, right? It will start to help with the pain, right? And then also speed up wound healing, what they call a vulnerary. is something, a substance that speeds up wound healing. And then it's also known as a demucilin, which softens, okay, irritated tissues, okay, through its gel-like. So you can take a tablespoon of aloe vera gel 1 hour before you eat, 3 times a day. You can do that, or you can take anywhere from 2 to 4 ounces of the gel, okay, at night. Okay, so we have a lot of remedies, okay, and you want to take these remedies 3 times a day. Okay, whatever ones you have. If you only have fenugreek, use fenugreek. If you only have cinnamon, use cinnamon. Okay, if you only have barberry, use barberry. But in the world that we're in now, you have access to a lot of these herbs. For sure, you have access to cinnamon. You have access to turmeric. You have access to aloe vera. I will also throw in garlic in there. So you have, that's 4 herbs you have access to. And then you can get fenugreek. You can get bitter melon. Okay? And then you can find online barberry, Oregon, grapefruit, golden seal. You don't need golden seal, but if you can get it, get it. It's a little bit more expensive. Okay, maybe $170, over $150 a pound. But you don't need that one. Go barberry. All right, I pray that the lesson was edifying. Until next time, shalom to the legs.